Welcome back. This is Adventures with Dr. Joe. Today we're going to install a limb saw, also referred to as a Limbinator. This is an American-made hydraulic chainsaw that can fit on the bucket of your tractor and allow you to clear limbs, trees, etc. from food plots, fields, shooting lanes, trails, you name it. I think it's going to be great. Let's take a closer look. The first thing you want to do is mount this bracket onto your bucket, and it's connected with two bolts on the top and on the side and this pin. We'll take the pin out and slide the bracket off, and you can see it's held tightly with these four bolts, and then 4 bolts drilled through the bucket, and it will allow you to attach the pole on which the Limbinator sits, or the limb saw. These are a couple parts that you need because it doesn't come with the hydraulics to connect from this to your auxiliary hydraulics. I needed one about 72 inches, so I got 2 of these. They both have female ends. The tubing from the limb saw is a male end. That'll fit there. The hydraulic couplers that I purchased have female ends, so a male-male adapter will allow me to hook the line to these adapters. These are some of the things you're going to need to connect the limb saw to your hydraulic line, which is an auxiliary hydraulic line. For my services, I needed a 72-inch line, but if you've got a longer distance, you'll have to measure it up front. But I purchased a female end because this will fit into the tubing on the limb saw, a male adapter, which you can see here, and then these are the Pioneer type hydraulic quick connects, which you'll understand because they fit your tractor with a female end. So the male adapter will allow you to hook these up to your lines. So let's see where we can put this bracket. And by the way, look inside of it. Do you see this cross piece? That prevents the bar of the limb saw from going any further, which is really nice. And this will strongly bolt onto the bucket and really give you that excellent reach to do all those duties we talked about. So one of the challenges that I've been faced with is that I have a 4-in-1 bucket, which has a very different construction than a standard bucket. It has this rolled tube at the top, which makes things like these Ken's bolt-on grab hooks more difficult to install, and this as well, but I think we've got a good place for it. Let's put it up to the tractor right here, and I think this is where it can fit. So we'll have it so that the bar doesn't touch this and doesn't touch this, and leaves our hydraulic lines alone. So this is a connection that keeps the hydraulic lines in, but it's getting in my way. I'm going to cut this, grind it off, and then paint it, and we'll be able to keep these hydraulic lines out of the way. They're going to be safe, and that'll keep this away from the grab hooks, and still allow me access to these bolts, which tighten that shaft into this coupler. By the way, I have a face shield on, very important. Grinding particles can get into your eye, real problem. Protect yourself. we marked the holes for the bracket, the receiver. We're going to do a little center punch. And let's do some drilling. Okay, we mounted the bracket and drilled 4 holes. 3 we could get from here, 1 we had to get from the inside of the bucket. And now you can see that that is ready to go and have the boom installed for the limb saw. All this mounting hardware, by the way, comes with the kit, which is very nice. Okay, this is the way it needs to hang. This needs to be down because when we get it on the tractor, it's going to go back up. So this is the orientation. Let's pull that out, and I'm gonna run these hydraulic tubes. I'm gonna be very gentle with it because I took the thread protectors off, and it should. You see it? Here they come. We got the hydraulic lines run through there. I'm gonna slide this in. Beautiful. These bolts that I've removed, put them back in. There's the hole. These are flange nuts which should hold this very securely. And we'll just tighten these down. Takes a 9/16. All right, this is a 1/2 inch bolt head. Be careful not to pull these hydraulic lines too much, because on the other end, as you can see here, there's a sharp edge and it might cut in those as it's vibrating, so be sure that that's not too tight. It needs to be a little bit loose. Okay, well, I'm in my steel building. I've got the heater on, so you may hear a little bit of noise in the background. But I got the hydraulic lines that are necessary to connect the limb saw to the tractor. You need to have an auxiliary set of hydraulic fittings, which I do. And I measured my distance that I needed, about 72 inches. That would give me quite a bit of slack because we need to take into account the bucket moving up and down. So I purchased a set of male hydraulic lines, high pressure, and I got some couplers that are female. So we'll just hook this one on to the lines on the limb saw, and then this one to the hydraulic line. And I'm going to Teflon tape them and really tighten them up. And then on this side, I've got those Pioneer Quick Connect hydraulic fittings, and these babies fit just right on the hydraulic lines, just like that. So I'm going to Teflon tape them all, tighten them up so they're all set, and now we're ready to basically take this boom and put it on the bucket, and then start to look at the saw and adjust the blade tension, look at the oiling, the lubrication capability, and basically do a review of the hydraulic motor that powers this saw. So a quick comment: when you're putting Teflon tape on, it's best to put it on the same direction that you're going to tighten it. So and I unroll it this way, and literally just put it on this way, because that's not going to come off. And then the Quick Connect hydraulic fitting goes on the same direction. So I'm going to tighten these up. They take a 7/8 or 27 millimeter for the hydraulic fitting. I'm going to get those nice and secure. A quick comment when you're tightening these is always try to tighten the wrenches to the wrenches. It really gives you a little more leverage. And you can really get a nice purchase on this. Keep them perpendicular. And then tighten them up. After we're done, we're going to check for leaks because this is going to be under incredibly high pressure and we need to check for that. So here's one of the issues you're going to face when you have the auxiliary hydraulics. In this case, it's for my 4-in-1 bucket. I have a top hat switch here. Well, I'd like to have it cut when I go to the right and then reverse when I go to the left. I'm not certain which way to connect this, so unfortunately it's a 50-50 deal. If I find that it's the wrong fitting, I will probably have to reverse the lines. It's not a big deal, but it'd be nice if we somehow knew beforehand, but I don't know how to do that. It's just one of those things. So the fitting for my coupler is 25 millimeters, and then each end of the hydraulic are 7/8. So I got this part tight, and now I don't have to worry about it. I can tighten this up, and one of the beauties is that this is a swivel connection, so I can just hold on to this and tighten up this fitting, and then the swivel connection will rotate, which is so nice. Just like that. We'll tighten those all up. So here's the limb saw in its condition when you want to go transporting it. You tuck it up like this so it's not going to be in your way, and it reduces the bounce and the movement of this. And you just pull this single pin out. There's a cotter pin here. Let this swing down, and then we're going to want to swing it up so that we can connect this safety strap, which is a steel cable, and then the indicator. You can see yellow, so the indicator. So we got to move this up, and we want to strap both of these together at the same time. So I just loop it around here to make it easier, and bring it up. And there we go. So now it's in its run position. And you'll see when you properly weight the saw that the yellow indicator tape is exposed. And that shows that you're in a good position because you just want the weight of the saw to be making your cut for you. The hydraulic motor and oiler are beneath this protective cover. We're going to take it off. These are 1/2-inch flange bolts here. There's a little obstruction here with the other cover, so I changed the flange bolt to a regular bolt. I'm still having a little bit of interference, so I'm going to open that up. That's the only little deficiency that I've seen. So I've taken the 4 bolts off, and then this protective cover just comes off like that. Then underneath here we can see the hydraulic motor and the oiler. Let's take a closer look at those because they're pretty important. So this is the hydraulic pump, which is quite impressive. It's high torque but relatively low speed. And then from the hydraulic lines, there's a little bleeder valve here with a tube that drips some hydraulic oil onto the bar of the saw blade. When you first start this up, you turn whatever your auxiliary switch is for your hydraulics on, and there's a pause because it has to purge the line of all the air, and all of a sudden it starts going, but then you'll see that there's nothing flowing out of this, so I had to adjust this, open it up, and then I thought it was flowing too much, and so I backed it off, and I'll show you the amount that I like. I like to see it fling a drop of oil off about once every second. And the thing about it is that it really doesn't use very much oil, because it only oils when the saw's working, which is a very small part of the time. So we'll take a look at this flinging, and that's how you adjust the oiler now, which is easy. You just clockwise tighten it up, you'll reduce it, open it up counterclockwise. I'm going to take this cover off so we can look at the gear. These are 9/16. This holds also the blade when you tension it. These are nylon lock nuts, so they're not going to loosen. So this should just come right off, exposing the drive gear, which is really lined up nicely. It's right in the middle. And then the 2 bolts, and then this ultra high molecular weight material that allows this to move back and forth. I'm going to grind this just a little bit where there was a little overlap here and here, so I can use those flange nuts. So I'm going to go to the grinder. I could have used a portable grinder, but I didn't want to risk hitting any of the other parts, so we took this off, and we'll just grind it to the shape that we need. And we'll be very careful doing this. So that looks pretty good. And we'll do the other side off camera. Okay, we're going to run the saw now, and I want to demonstrate the oil that's being slung from the blade. So I'm going to rev the tractor up a little bit. And then start the saw. I opened the valve up just a small amount, and now you can see it sling. Drip the oil. That's probably about a good rate. You can see it spitting off the end of the blade there. So I think that's good. You can see the little notch that I cut out, allowing these flange nuts to be put in there a little bit more easily, so you might have to modify this plate just a little bit. Okay, I've got the camera set up. I've got it on a limb. I'm going to get back in the tractor. I'm going to increase the exposure of the indicator, which you can see, rev it up, and cut a limb. There you go. That's how you cut it. Okay, you can see it's set up. I'm going to get back in the tractor. You can see the indicators exposed, which is good. We'll rev it up a little bit, and we'll start to cut. There we go. Just like that. Well, this is a review of the limb saw. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe. Please click like, and comments are very welcome. I think you're going to find that this is a very useful tool, especially if you want to clear things like shooting lanes or fields, pastures. And it's safer than a pole saw, which is not even nearly as long as this, and climbing on ladders and things. Yeah, it's pretty dangerous. So you're inside your cab. The only thing that would be better is if I had a glass roof where I could really see. I have to kind of look under the, I have to kind of look down to see where this cuts, because it's really high. But apart from that, this came very well put together. The quality is really good. It's a strong, heavy-duty device. and I think it's going to last for a long time. So thank you very much again. Stay safe.